Hey, what's up you guys? This is Kyle from U-Haul. Installing weight distribution on your truck and trailer combo can help get you to your destination safely and quickly without any concerns. Today, let's break down this install on the B&W Continuum with LightFlex technology weight distribution setup.
You will need the following tools and supplies to complete this installation.
B&W offers a range of combinations depending on the hitch of the vehicle and also the coupler of the trailer. So let's take a look at that a little more closely so we can get a better idea what we're working with. Hitch receivers can come in 3 different sizes. Today's vehicle, we're gonna be a 2.5 inch. Trailer couplers can come in 2 inch or 2 5/16. In this case, right on the top of our trailer tongue, it tells us exactly what to use. The third and final choice you'll want to ensure when you're making your decision on which part number to use is going to be on where the coupler is mounted to the frame of the trailer. In this case, we have a traditionally mounted top of the tongue coupler. We've determined that we need B&W part number WKHD4502. The next step in our process is to make sure that this trailer is completely level and on a flat surface. We've already taken a little bit of time to level our trailer by taking 2 measurements. We took a measurement from the front of the trailer frame and also from the rear of the trailer frame. All right, so the next thing we need to do is measure the ground to the top of the coupler. Today's measurement, we've got 21 inches for this particular trailer. So we're gonna use that measurement when we're measuring the top of the receiver tube on the truck's hitch. We've got 22.5 inches on this truck combo. Now this will help us determine the correct height when we insert the B&W Continuum ball mount into this receiver tube. All right, now that we've gone ahead and inserted our weight distribution setup from B&W, we're ready to secure it in the pin. We're gonna use today our U-Haul exclusive Warlock. This is a 2 inch and 2.5 inch capable locking receiver pin. Okay, now that we've inserted our weight distribution setup from B&W, we've locked it to the hitch receiver on the vehicle. We're ready to take a measurement from the top of the ball to level surface, and we want to get within 1 to 2 inches, as close to 1 inch probably as possible. So we're going to take a measurement from the ground to the top of the ball, and in this case we're at about 24 inches, right on the money. All right, so we're going to go ahead and remove the first linch pin and the second linch pin, set those aside for a moment, move the top cotter pin, and we're going to go down exactly 1 hole from where we were currently at. We're going to insert our linch pin. Now it's very important when you insert these linch pins that you get them in the correct locking position. So once you get them on, they will touch the other side of the pin. If they were in the incorrect way, they're gonna stand off about 1/8 of an inch. So just be very careful when you're inserting those. Okay, now that we've lowered the ball mount down 1 notch, we've gone ahead and taken a second measurement. In this case now, we've got 22.5 inches, which is in the range of 1 to 2 inches that B&W calls out in their specifications. All right, now we're gonna take a quick measurement from the back side of our propane cover to the end of the trailer here and go right along the frame. In this case, we've got about 15.5 inches. So we just wanna ensure when we install our pump assembly that we've got enough clearance between this cover and the trailer to be able to pump up our weight distribution setup. Okay, now that we've got the truck side of our weight distribution setups figured out, we're ready to start mounting onto the trailer tongue. The first thing we're gonna need to do is remove any propane covers and take a few measurements. So our first measurement on the trailer coupler is gonna be from the back of the coupler to the front of the propane tray, in which case they want 2 inches, and for us, we've got about 2.5 inches, so we're clear there. Second measurement we want is from the back of this gusset back, and we want about 4 inches of clearance. It looks like we've got plenty of room here to mount our brackets and our pump assembly here next to it. Our final measurement here is gonna be the frame channel height. In this case, we've got 5 inches. We're gonna use this measurement to determine how to mount our pump mounting brackets. Okay, now we're ready to mount our pump bracket in our inside clamp. Determined by the height of your frame channel is gonna determine which hole you use. Because we had a 5-inch frame channel, we're gonna use the second hole from the top. That's also gonna be made from the second hole on the top on the back side of the inside clamp. A 3-inch by 3/8 bolt with a 3/8 flange nut. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get this loosely installed. So we're gonna start by putting in our bolt. We'll bring in our inside bracket, inside clamp, mate that up. We'll grab one of our 3/8 flange nuts and just loosely attach that to the back. So our tank cover sits right at the back side of this box. So we're gonna measure 4 inches back so we know the proper placement. Come back just a little more. And it looks like we're ready to rock and roll. So we're gonna tighten these bolts down in sequence. We're gonna get to 40 foot-pounds of torque. We're using a 14 millimeter socket, deep well on the bracket side, and we're using a short, shallow on the inside clamp side. So you can see as we're tightening this down, we're also gonna ensure that these brackets are completely level. And then we'll finish it off with our torque wrench, getting right to 40 foot-pounds of torque. All right, now we're ready to mount our pump assembly to our previously mounted bracket here on the frame of the trailer. There's 3 mounting holes inside on this bracket. We're gonna be very careful when mounting this pump assembly that this portion of it here is gonna sit perfectly into this channel on the bracket. Okay, we're gonna mount our pump using the 3 attached flange nuts. We're gonna tighten these bolts only by hand at the moment. Very important, you do not use power tools for this job. These are going to be tightened by hand and torqued to exact torque value because this is a machined aluminum pump housing and these are steel bolts. You can easily strip these bolts by using the wrong tools. Now we're gonna come back and torque these down to 40 foot-pounds of torque. All right, now that we've got our pump assembly securely mounted, we're gonna test a range of motion on our pump handle. So if you push in, turn, bring it back and lock into place, now you can freely move your pump handle. All right, so as we went to insert our hydraulic assembly, we noticed this tube here in the back, this is our hydraulic tube, was getting in the way. So we're actually gonna go and loosen that hose a little bit to get it to fit a little better. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and use an 11/16 open-ended wrench. This nut closest to the hydraulic hose and the cylinder, we're gonna go ahead and break that loose just gently, turn our hose 90 degrees, and then tighten it back up. Okay, we're now ready on the top of our cylinder head and our top mounting bracket for the cylinder. We're gonna go ahead and just lay that over the top, and we're gonna bring our pin. We're gonna come in from the driver's side over to the passenger. We're gonna lest it back so that we can insert our R-clip into the opposing side. Okay, now we're ready to rest our bracket right on top of the frame. Okay, now we're ready to install our washer plate on the top of our cylinder bracket, followed by our lower mounting brackets. Now these have a correct orientation depending on the size of the frame. Since we have a 5-inch frame, we're gonna install them with the U facing up. We're gonna go ahead and get these started by hand. And then we're gonna jump over and repeat that process on the other side. Okay, now that we've got our bracket in place, we're gonna come back and we're gonna start tightening these down. We're gonna do them a little bit at a time. We're gonna treat this kind of like a U-bolt. So we're gonna go and jump around a little bit just to make sure we've got it nice and level. All right, and we'll repeat that process on the other side. We're gonna jump over to the truck side again. And before we couple, the instructions recommend that we turn the spindle to the outside. We're gonna add a couple pumps of grease to the top. Okay, then we're gonna remove, rotate 180 degrees, and grease our second Zerk fitting on the bottom. Okay, now that we've got our pump assembly securely installed, we're gonna go ahead and remove the plug provided by the factory. Just pull that right out, it's gonna get discarded. We're gonna route our hose from our cylinder up so we can just turn our hose connection, and we're gonna push that securely in until it makes a nice snug fit. We're gonna go ahead and couple after we've now greased our weight distribution setup here. Before we do that, we're gonna take a quick measurement of the front of the vehicle and the front fender well. Okay, from the front of the vehicle, we're gonna find the center of the hub here. We're gonna just come up from the ground to the center of the fender. In this case is exactly 40 inches. We're gonna continue to lower until we see our jack come off the ground. Okay, now we're gonna raise the jack enough so that we can get our load bar assembly underneath the jack. All right, now we're ready to insert the back end of our load bar with the bushings and pin. We're gonna go ahead and insert them through the cylinder here. So we're gonna start by removing the linch pin on the opposing side. Okay, we'll go ahead and lift this into position and insert the pin with the bushing. All right, we need to lower our cylinder about 5 inches. To do that, the instructions call out to step on it and make sure we're relieving any pressure by just turning this nozzle to the left. And just step here and push down. All right, so with a small amount of trial and error, we actually determined that the top hole here was a perfect fit for the load bar to fit snugly into the spindle. Important to note, you've got a small clip in here, safety clip, that needs to be inserted when this is properly coupled. We're ready to go back up front using our previously taken measurement, which was 41 inches in this case, to measure how much the front of the vehicle is raised back up. We've got 41 inches. So we went up exactly 1 inch. On the Ford website, we found that they're looking for a FALR, a front axle load restoration value of 50%. So the difference between our previously taken measurement of 40 and our newly taken measurement with all load applied was 1 inch. So we're gonna now go back to our weight distribution setup, pump up and get enough pressure to relieve exactly 1/2 inch of clearance. All right, so now that we're back at our pump assembly, we're gonna go ahead and tighten this hand wheel here all the way down, just snug tight. We can go ahead and release our handle, pull it out, and start pumping. Okay, now that we've got our hydraulic cylinder all pumped up, we're gonna record this value here, which is about 1750. This is important to note that as you add weight to the front of the trailer, you're gonna wanna always double check your front measurement. You can always add or remove a little bit of pressure just to get to exactly where you feel comfortable towing down the road. Okay, now we're ready to install our fork bracket by releasing our load bar assembly from our spindle. We're gonna start by inserting our carriage bolt into the bottom. We're gonna come back with the opposite side of our bracket, and then we're gonna take one of our flange nuts and insert it on the other side. And we'll repeat that process on the other side. We're gonna go ahead and get these hand tight, remembering to tighten them up one at a time, kind of alternating back and forth so we get a nice straight clamp. And we're gonna raise it about 1 inch off of the base of the jack from the trailer. Come back, tighten it down. It should just rest on there. Okay, now that we've completed the installation, we've got the pressure set on our pump, we've got our weight distribution and load bars set on the spindles, we've got our proper measurements front and back. This is looking like a great install. So we just finally want to thank the B&W team and Chris Long for their previous video. They did a wonderful job and gave us some guidance on how to get this done correctly. We also want to thank the engineers at B&W for their innovation and ingenuity in coming up with this unique product. If you have any questions, please feel free to visit us at uhaulhitches.com.